Good morning, Team Alabama. We are going to finish up the book today. Open your Chromebooks to page 121. And don't you dare read this, Mrs. Dunfree. Make sure you have your tab with your facts, your questions, and your vocab on it. And make sure that you've numbered all of those, your facts, your questions, and your vocab. On your vocab, make sure that you have the definition on the other side of it and not just the words. We're on page 121. We're going to finish this up. Well, I guess they are. Matt and I both got sick last month. The kind of sick where you throw up about once an hour, and Nana stayed up all night one night taking care of us. Matt's really taken with her. And Poppy too. He says it's almost like having Grandma back. It's not. But it's good to see Matt acting more like a normal little boy. And Nana brags about how Matt put on 20 pounds since we got here. And Poppy brags about how Matt learned to fish better than anyone, even the old guys around here who do nothing but sit on their boats all day long. Personally, I think they're overdoing the proud grandparent bit, but when I told Mr. Sarkozy that, he jumped down my throat and told me that I was jealous that Matt's doing better with Nana and Poppy than he did with just me. I'm not. I just don't see what the big deal is about gaining weight and fishing. Nana and Poppy treat Mom like a little kid too, but then that's pretty much how she acts. She's been here almost as long as Matt and me. When that caseworker from back home tracked her down in California, Dad had already left her for, get this, some 19-year-old. That postcard that she sent me and Matt was all a lie. She told me that she thought we'd feel better if we thought that she and Dad were happy together, and that she didn't want us to worry that she just didn't have enough money to come back home. Did I ever mention Mom's borderline crazy? I think that she agreed to move down here with Matt and me and Nana and Poppy just because we're all connected to Dad. Mr. Sarkozy keeps finding new labels to put on her. He says she's obsessive, delusional, and long-term victim of the battered wife syndrome. She may seem selfish to you, he keeps telling me, but you need to be more understanding of someone suffering such grave mental illness. I don't know. Sometimes Mr. Sarkozy makes sense, and I have to admit, Mom is starting to act a little more normal lately. Now remember, she's writing all this to Mrs. Dunfree to tell her kind of what's been happening in her life. But I think all those labels are just words. And when I try to figure out what's really wrong with Mom, I keep remembering something that she told me a few weeks ago. She had made meatloaf that she never cooked back home, and it was actually pretty good. When we were doing the dishes afterwards, I made some crack about how Grandma would be proud, and Mom remembered her meatloaf recipe, and Mom burst into tears right over the sink full of suds. I'm sorry, I said. Do you want me to say Grandma wouldn't have been proud of you? Instead of just crying and ignoring me like she used to, Mom started telling me a story. I guess when she was a little girl, every morning when she went to school, Grandma used to say the same thing that she always said to me. Make me proud. Except where that made me feel good, it made Mom feel terrible. She knew that she could never do well enough to make Grandma proud, so hearing those words every day made her feel worse and worse. The only thing that Mom was ever proud of having someone as good looking as my dad want to date her. That's the only thing she was ever proud of. So she tried everything to keep him around. Sounds twisted to me, but I can kind of see why she did everything she did if that was really what she was thinking. She said Mr. Sarkozy's been making her come up with other things to be proud of, like the fact that she kept her job all those years and managed to support Matt and me mostly by herself. I could say some things about that, like having Grandma's house sure helped, and when I started working, it's not like she ever spent anything on me. But I saw the bills that she had to pay, and I guess she didn't do too bad. Later. I gave this to Mr. Sarkozy to read before I sent it off to you, and he really let me have it. I want you to try again, he said. Did you do this on purpose? What? I said. Write about everyone but yourself? I don't know. Maybe I did. It's a lot easier for me to look at Mom and say she's getting better, or look at Matt and say he's acting more normal, than to make sense of anything about myself. It's not like I was all flipped out like they were, so I don't have to change like they do, except I can see sometimes how mom and dad got my mind all messed up too. Like, I'll see a cute guy on the beach and I think, now, there's someone I wouldn't mind dating, but then I think, forget it, men are jerks. Sometimes I wonder what kind of person I'd be if Grandma had raised me without Mom and Dad even around, or if I'd lived with Nana and Poppy all my life, or if I'd had your basic ordinary parents, not the prize-fighting crazies that I got. I'd be different. I bet. Maybe I'd even live up to that precious academic potential that you were always talking about instead of slogging through summer school just to get to my junior year. Slogging might be a really great word to add to your vocabulary, guys. But it's stupid to think about what might have been. What happened, happened. And I'm not always sure that I'm happier now than I used to be. Sometimes I actually miss the way things were last spring. I was hungry all the time. I was going crazy worrying about money, and I was scared to death that someone would find out Mom was gone. But it's like I was grown up. I was in charge here, and Nana and Poppy don't let me watch TV until I've done my homework, and they write out a weekly list of chores for me to do, and they don't let me go to the mall unless I tell them when I'm going to come back. And God help me if I'm not back on time. Come to think of it, they treat me like I'm not much older than Matt. Nana says, we're just setting limits because we love you. Whatever. It's still a pain. I can see you, Mrs. Dunfree, scrunching up your face in that I'm worried about you look that you always gave me, especially when Matt and I were staying with you. You probably think that I might run away or something. But don't worry. I remember the bad stuff from last spring too. I am going to get some kind of job though, so that I've got some money of my own again. You wouldn't believe how many help wanted signs there are down here. Everybody's hiring. I can be picky now. No more burger boys. School's okay here. I've made some friends, and there are lots of new people, so it's not like I stick out, except the styles are really different here. Nobody has big hair. It's all straight and long. Boys and girls. Weird. Anyhow, thanks for the yarn and that notebook that you sent last week. I don't really see myself wanting to crochet down here. I guess that's a good sign. Maybe I'll go back to keeping a journal like you wanted. Maybe not. But I am hanging on to the old one that I wrote for you. I put it in the back of my new closet, right under my old tennis shoes and that stupid orange Afghan. Okay, that's the end of this book, guys. It's an awesome book. Go ahead and write a few new facts. You should be at the end of your 50 facts by now, or up to 70 if you want to turn in some extra ones. That'd be great. Make sure that you send me your facts, your questions, and your vocab. Have a great rest of your day, Team Alabama.